All right, we're going to continue with our media availabilities here at Michigan. In advance of Sunday's Consumers Energy 400, we are joined by Erik Jones, driver of the number 20 Doosan Toyota, who is a Michigan native. We're here at his hometown track. We will open it up to questions for Erik. We'll start right here with Matt, then we'll go to Rob.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. I've got two questions for you. The first one, what did you learn in Ann Arbor yesterday, and what did the button do?
Yeah, it was cool, to see the R&D center down there in Ann Arbor. I've never been down to Toyota's. I've been to a few plants, and I've been to a few other headquarters down in Plano, Texas, and the old one out in California, but never to the R&D center here in Ann Arbor. So it was just cool to see what they do there, and really a lot of the development that comes out of there that kind of transfers over to the entire, a majority of the Toyota lineup that's out there in the U.S. right now. And also to see some of the stuff they've done for racing too. Some of the lead engineers there for Tundra are there. They've done some stuff with the Camry, so it was just neat to see what was involved. The button was for show mostly, but we got to see a crash test down there, so that was pretty cool. I've never seen a crash test in person, and I guess they don't do them often, so that was kind of neat. They set that up for us.
My other one is you've been racing Chase Elliott for a long time and probably know him pretty well, at least compared to other people in the Cup garage. What is your interpretation of how he has evolved, not necessarily as a driver, but just the way that he handles adversity and expectations and pressure, stuff like that?
Well, I think, Chase is in a tough position, obviously being a second-generation guy more so than others. Obviously he's under a big expectation of how he's expected to run and win races early and quickly, and it took him a few years, and it seems all guys a few years now. I mean, it's just not as easy to find an advantage, find an edge, and it's not easy to beat the guys that have been here for a long time. So I think the talent in the Cup Series is just, it's higher than the depth is probably higher than it's ever been. So it's just challenging right now, but I think he's done a good job of handling adversity and rolling through a lot of close calls and finishes, and that's not an easy thing to do as a driver when you come that close, but he's done a good job managing it and managing expectations from the outside pressure and finally getting that first win.
We'll go to Rob and then to Troy.
Rob Tiongson of the podiumfinish.net. Erik, this month is the Kids Drive NASCAR initiative. So first of all, as a young driver, how important is it for you to connect with the young fans in conjunction with the existing fan base? And secondly, how much easier is it to come to Michigan knowing you already got your first win and you don't feel that pressure every time when we ask you, do you have to win at Michigan to get into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to me to get the younger fan base involved. I've always kind of taken the extra time, I guess, to try to get the young fans interested in racing, and even, people more my age, around the college age, going there and doing some visits and meeting students and trying to get them, out to the racetrack and experiencing it once before. But secondly, just being locked in the playoffs is big. I mean, we all want to be a part of the playoffs at some point and race for a championship. And, coming back here with only 4 races now left to the playoffs and not having to worry about it is definitely a good feeling. We were in a good spot to point our way in, and now looking at how the season's gone since Daytona, we probably would have done it pretty easily, but it's still nice to show up at the racetrack and not have to worry about it each week.
Go to Troy.
Thank you. This is Roy Akers, Detroit Sports Media. Erik, with your win, Chase's win, Ryan won last year, do you starting to see kind of a changing of the guard in the circuit where maybe you guys and maybe even another driver might be that big three? I mean, you guys have got a lot of talent. You're running in the top 10, seems like consistently top 15 every time. Can you see that evolution amongst the young drivers?
Well, I think that's where we all want to be at some point, is in that fold. But it takes time. I don't think any of us are there yet. I think we all are capable of winning more races this year. Maybe not on the same basis as what those big 3 guys have done. I mean, they've been consistently winning a majority of the races. I don't think any of us are quite at that point yet, but I think we're definitely have closed the gap, at least over just this year alone, a large amount. So, that's a good feeling as a driver, and those guys are probably 3 of the most talented guys in the garage, and 3 of the guys obviously with this most long-term and solid driver crew chief pairings. So those are the guys you look at to kind of baseline yourselves off of, especially, myself being, teammates with Kyle. You want to run in the same level as him. And then as Martin as well, being a corporate teammate and having similar equipment. So it's definitely what you base yourself off of, and it's, definitely a goal for us to meet.
Erik, Greg Krupa, Detroit News. Thanks for your time. You might have answered the question just a little bit, but just now. But your career development this year, big year for you, making the move you did after last season. Did you sort of have things on a checklist maybe that you wanted to accomplish, improve on this year? And how's that going? And how are you feeling about your career moving forward from this year?
Yeah, it's been good. This year overall, we've made gains, I think, to where we want to be. We wanted to win a race and we wanted to make the playoffs, and we've accomplished those goals. There's still more to be done. Goals change even over the course of a year, and obviously you have to reset your goals after you've met them at some point. So, at this point, we want to continue to work towards it and just getting into the playoffs, make sure we can advance, at least a round or two. We want to make it to the 12 and hopefully to the 8. And that would be definitely the good season for us for sure. So I know we're capable of it, and I think this year we've done a good job of being in a better spot at this point in the year than we were last year. We were sitting on the outside looking into the playoffs at this point last year with a lot less top 10s and a few less top 5s. So we've done a good job of running better and getting some better finishes, and definitely being in the playoffs is a big step as well.
Any additional questions for Erik? We'll go up here to Bob and then to Lee.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Now that you've been on the track, is where they use the tire dragon is pretty much the same as the last time. Does it feel the same, or is it any different?
It feels similar to me. It's hard to tell much of a difference. I think the track overall has aged pretty well over the last few years, where it's not so line sensitive. Obviously, you don't see anybody running up in the third groove by any means, but it's definitely not to the point where if you get up there, you're probably not gonna wreck. So. I don't know that it's made a huge difference so far today. It'll be more interesting to see as the weekend goes on, and especially the truck race, what these guys can do tomorrow afternoon. But, it hasn't affected us yet too much.
Go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. And has the track changed much since you were just here, and how did your car feel when you went out today?
The track feels pretty similar to what we had here a couple months ago, but our car was off on balance. I think we were off on speed for sure. So overall, I think we know where we need to go, and I think we'll qualify fine this afternoon. But 3 runs, it's hard to get a balance. The car changes a lot over each cycle on tires, and you have to kind of manage that and manage where your car's driving. And we started off being pretty free, and just kind of tightened it up too much compared to where the tires went. So we feel like we know what we need to do. Obviously, our teammates were fast, so we've got something to look at there, and we've qualified pretty well this year, each and every week. So I'm not worried about it, but we're definitely off to start.
The tattoo, is there a story behind that?
It's my dad's signature. I've had it for a little while now, yeah, but my dad's signature.
Anything final for Erik? We'll go to Wolfgang.
Erik, you said earlier you visited a crash test for the first time in the plant. Was there anything what you can bring in from the racing driver point of view concerning safety to the engineering and road car design?
Well, I don't know if they take anything from us for racing. Actually, though, they've gave NASCAR a lot of things. They've got a crash dummy model called Thumbs, which I knew a little bit about before I went there yesterday. And actually, they've loaned it to NASCAR a few times, and it's a pretty comprehensive human model. It's not so much a crash test dummy where it's got a fully, designed set of organs and everything in it. So that was pretty neat. They've given that to NASCAR. I don't know that we've given them anything back yet, but you never know what the future will hold for that.
All right, Erik. Well, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to continue on with our media availabilities here in Michigan in advance of Sunday's Consumers Energy 400 with the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We are joined by Kyle Larson, who is a 3-time winner of this race here at Michigan, driver of the number 42 DC Solar Chevrolet. We will open up to questions for Kyle, and we'll start down in the front with Lee.
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. So how was Knoxville?
Yeah, Iowa's been good. Yeah, we were able to win Monday night at Oskaloosa, and then have a really good prelim night Wednesday. So we'll start third on tomorrow. Brad Sweet and Donnie Schatz will be the two guys to beat, but I feel like we're close, and it's a long race, so be neat to win that deal.
We'll go to Matt.
Matt Crossman from NASCAR.com. Writing a piece about late race decision making compared to mid race decision making. Last year at this race, you made a bonsai move to win that I'm betting you wouldn't have made on lap 12. Same thing at Chicago. You tried to move on Kyle that ultimately didn't work, but I'm imagining you wouldn't have done that on like lap 15. So can you walk me through the decision making? When does it become okay to try something like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, these races are so long that you can't. You have to just weigh the risk versus reward. So yeah, I mean, you can kind of feel when it's late in the race and what it, might be one of the last restarts or something. So that's when you can kind of decide when to be aggressive. And there's not saying that we're not aggressive, at those early race restarts and stuff, because it's so hard to pass that you're always aggressive on every one of those restarts. But you can amp it up a little bit the last restart or two. Whether I would say a place like this, they kind of they build. They get more and more intense every restart, especially the last. If you get a caution with say 20 to go, you can kind of figure that might be the last caution, but there might be 2 or 3 more. So that's about when it gets really aggressive. So, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm always aggressive on every restart. But yeah, I mean, not trying to shoot the middle, starting fourth like I did last year earlier in the race. But that was definitely the right time for it.
We'll come to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Did the win here last year guarantee your participation in Knoxville this weekend? And what, or did you have to do any more negotiating with Chip?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if it guaranteed it, but yeah, I mean, I didn't really have to talk to Chip about it. I remember, last year when we got back to the race shop. I think I went in there maybe Monday or something after the Michigan win, and that was when Steve Loletta was still there as our president. He was already talking about plans for next year, or this year, So I kind of figured that time that it worked out good enough that I could do it. So just very thankful to have an owner that lets me have fun, and then especially on a weekend like this, go be able to participate in the biggest sprint car race in the world the night before. I'm on track racing the Cup car, so you don't see any other owners really doing that. Tony Stewart would kind of be the only guy that would have done that. Casey, I guess in his situation he can too, but just very thankful for everything that Chip does, and he knows it's important to me, so I appreciate that.
We'll go to Wolfgang.
Kyle, I also have a Knoxville question, actually, too. How difficult is the logistic traveling from here to Knoxville and back? And is Chip also traveling with you to Knoxville to see you racing in a sprint car?
What was the second question?
If Chip is traveling with you
Chip.
to see you racing in a sprint car.
No, I don't think Chip's going to Knoxville. I don't even know if he's going to be here this weekend. So yeah, he's not going to Knoxville. Logistics stuff. Yeah, I mean, I guess it started, after Watkins Glen. Casey, Ricky, and I all flew there right after Watkins Glen, which was, hectic because, Casey raced Sunday night at Knoxville. My car owner, Paul Silva, he didn't want to do that because he didn't know if we'd make it there in time to qualify. But yeah, I mean, Casey, we landed there, and he had to get escorted, straight to the infield, and missed hot laps, but got to qualify. Had a pretty good night there. So yeah, we flew from Watkins Glen there, and then hung out all week, and then Casey and I flew here after the races last night. I think I got to my motorhome like 2:30 in the morning, and then slept till about 11, so that was good. And then yeah, so tomorrow, our day is done so early here that I don't know. I think we're leaving like 2:30 or 3 o'clock from here to go to Knoxville. Dirt racing stuff doesn't get started till probably 7:15 or 7:30 tomorrow, so it's no rush. But it'll be a late night. No appearances in the morning Sunday, so can sleep in again, and we'll be good.
We'll go to Troy.
Troy, Roy from Detroit Sports Media. Can you see the day that like Eldora or another dirt track finds its way into a cup race or even into the playoffs?
I mean, I guess I could see it happening, because it seems like, we're to the point where NASCAR is trying to do a lot of things to spice things up. So I could see it happening. I've said it a lot that I would like to see it not happen, just because I feel like the one truck race we have on dirt is, makes dirt feel special. I would be afraid to, get too much of it and kind of, I don't know, I just feel like it would lose its prestige if we saw it on dirt a little bit too much. So I personally would not like to see it happen, but I mean, you never know what's gonna happen.
Any additional questions for Kyle? We'll go to Nate up front here.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Kyle, your dad was quoted Wednesday as saying that the Knoxville Nationals is #1 on the bucket list over any race. And I know that in January you said the Chili Bowl was up there with the Daytona 500. Do people understand? I know that it may maybe rub some people the wrong way when that came out in January, but do people understand better now, kind of like where you and your family stand on how important dirt racing is, and it doesn't make as many waves over here as it did before?
Oh no, it makes plenty of waves still. So I feel like I need to avoid this question before I make everybody at NASCAR mad or or some of my fans mad. So I'll just avoid answering that, because I've been through this before a lot. So I'm learning more and more to just keep my mouth shut.
We'll go to Lee.
Okay, so I won't
You
press
too,
you on
Lee.
that. Yeah, I know. I'm the worst one. I know. But in defense, I actually do go to the events. So, where are you with the new package for 19? Are you a proponent? Would you like to see it maybe sprinkled at a few racetracks next year, or do you want to just kind of wait and see? Or are you already happy with the current package that we're using?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard too much about the package other than could be similar, maybe, I guess, to what we ran, at the All-Star race, which, I don't know. I mean, I grew up racing, and I still race cars with 950 horsepower and weigh 1,400 pounds, and the racing's amazing. So I would, I don't know. I want to go fast. I don't want to go slower to put on a good show. So I don't think our racing's been bad at all this year. I think there's been some good storylines, some good hard racing, especially lately. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not an engineer, and I don't really know how to make the best racing, but I feel like we've yet to try low downforce with high horsepower. So I'd like to see that before we, go 5 seconds slower.
Thank you.
Then Bob.
ChrisKnightCatchers.com. Kyle, I was just wondering where you guys feel like you guys are heading into the playoffs. Are you guys content with the progression that you guys have made this season? And what do you think that the team is capable of in the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to be making as big a gains as what say the Hendrick guys have, but I feel like we started off way better than they did, so they've had more room to get better. But I feel like they've kind of surpassed us maybe a little bit the last few weeks. And there's obviously other teams that are better than we are too. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're getting our stuff better every week, which is nice. So far today has been really good. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we just keep getting better, and there's some good tracks for us in the playoffs. So if we can just get some luck one of these times in the playoffs, maybe we can make a run at the championship. So just got to keep working hard and thinking about what it takes to get better and better every week, which I feel like we have the right group of people at the racetrack and at the race shop that we can do that. So yeah, it's all about just progressing and getting better, and I feel like we're definitely doing that, but there's other teams that maybe have made a bigger step than we have.
We'll go to Bob and then to Claire.
Bob Hocker, CSPN. Considering you've run in the Rolex a few times, have you ever met Jim France, and what have been your impressions of him now that he's obviously assumed the kind of the interim role head here?
Yeah, I don't know if I. I'm sure I have, but I don't really remember. It's been a handful of years since I ran with IMSA. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that whoever is in that position takes it serious and does a good job with it, because there's so many people in this industry that want to see it succeed. So yeah, I hope this is a good step to have a good change for us and get some good momentum back for our series.
We'll go to Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Can you talk about the particular challenges here at Michigan at this particular racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pass. So, just good restarts are always important at any racetrack. But I think Michigan, this place is, you got to have, good balance to be able to carry a lot of throttle through the corners to make the straightaways seem even longer than they already are. So, and be able to carry that mile per hour. So yeah, I think being able to do that and be good at finding any bit of clean air you can on your nose to get those runs on people. Not get trapped in their dirty air and stuff like that. So that part of it makes it fun. Going 200 and whatever mile an hour we're going and trying to move around inches at a time to just try and get the best air you can on your car and do a good job on restarts too. This place, every race I've won here has come from late race restarts, so I got to be good at that especially.
Any final questions for Kyle? We'll wrap up with Nate.
Hendrick seemed to be a little bit better at Pocono, and there's been talk that they may have like a new next generation chassis or something that's a bit lighter. Have you seen that? And do you guys? I mean, I know the Ford teams like sort of share stuff a little bit. Is there any sense of like community there on the Chevrolet side, where if they're improving, you guys kind of understand like what's going on there?
No, I mean, we get to look at each other's engine data, and that's about it. So that they do their thing, we do our thing, and so yeah, I don't know. You can definitely see that they've gotten a lot better here recently, and I think that talking to some people on my team, it sounds like they'd gotten their Hawkeye system finally. I don't know, maybe a month and a half or so ago. So they've finally been able to kind of learn where they could push the limits on things. So it sounds like maybe we have a Hawkeye coming. So I'm really excited about that. Hopefully we can get it up and running before the playoffs start. Yeah, we're budget racing.
All right.
Sorry for all the uncomfortable questions.
All right, Kyle. Thanks for joining us. Good luck this
Thanks.
weekend.